Everyone, my name is Braden Chase and welcome to Easy Funnel System Podcast. I am pretty excited to talk to you guys tonight about something that's been going on recently and kind of over even the past couple of years. I remember it's almost 3 years ago now, I built my first kind of major independent course. And it was actually part of I was in my master's degree at the university, and I'm like, okay, I've got this idea, I want to build something. And I was inside of a class for advanced materials development, which in teaching, that's, building stuff that students can learn with. So I'm working on this, I'm like, okay, what do I do? How do I do this? And I start doing recordings, I start building these pieces and these PDFs and posting and finding these places to do all these different things. And I worked for probably about 3 months, and I worked hard. Worked really, really hard. I'm recording and staying up, until midnight in the library. They're kicking me out of the recording studio because they're like, we're closing the doors now, go away. And it was kind of awkward. And I'm trying to learn how to edit stuff. I have these pictures of me with like this blue sheet behind me, right? And my camera on a tripod and the a light bulb sticking over here to try and get some lighting as I'm recording in my kitchen because I didn't have anywhere else to record. And it was really funny and really kind of awkward, but really fun. And I'm like, okay, this is my project for the class. I've got it all set up. It's up on the internet somewhere. Let's go do it. So then my day comes in class and I start presenting. Okay, so I did this and I recorded this and I did these different things. And I present everything. And my teacher's in the back and he's like, I can just watch his eyes going like, oh my word, what? I can't believe you did all this stuff. And he's talking, he's asking me all these questions. Well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? I'm like, well, I did it that way. And he's like, well, what about this thing? I did it that way. And he goes, how did you do that? I'm like, well, I did it this way. And we talked about it for like, and the other students in the class are like, meh. They're just kind of sitting there. And I remember even still, he asked me all these questions. He's the teacher, right? He's asking me about my project, right? So he can give me a grade about it. And he goes to students and he goes, okay, everybody, Braden just built this huge thing. Does anybody have any questions for him? And I remember even still to this day, one of the girls there kind of raises her hand. She goes, Braden, that seems like a really risky thing to do, doing that much work for something and you don't really know if it's going to work out. And I'm like, yeah. That it was a lot of work, right? I guess it was a bit risky, but the potential payoff for this thing is incredible. I'm like, if this works out well, I could make a lot of money off of this. This could be really helpful for my life, for my finances, for my family. And she's like, oh, well, just seems like a lot of work. And I'm like, yeah, it was. But it also sounds like a lot of work to spend 4 years for a bachelor's, then 2 or 3 years for a master's degree, and then another 5 years for a PhD. I worked for 3 months. I think that 3 months, it was hard and it was focused effort, but it was just one thing. And I got it done. And when it was done, I put it up there on the internet and away we go. And I actually, for the first little while, I kind of felt, well, maybe she was right, because hardly anybody bought the course. I think I had, after 3 or 4 months after that presentation, I had like 20 students or something like that. It was, and they each bought it for like $1, right? It was really, really cheap. I had almost no money out of it. But then I started learning a bit about funnels and how funnels work and how do I drive ads and how do I find people and how do I attract the people who actually will benefit from my course and things like that, the marketing aspect of things. I started growing and growing and growing, and I'm like, this is cool. So fast forward a little while, that one course that I built, that I spent about 3 months, dedicated, focused effort, and posted on the internet to bring people in to teach them English, because that's what I teach, in the end generated almost $450,000 of revenue for the life of that course. And it was, I remember sitting back and going, okay, if I were to be a professor at a university or an English teacher, right? A typical English teacher at a college or a university in an intensive English program makes anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a year. So if they've been there for a long time, maybe 70 or even 80, but rarely does it ever go beyond that. So I'm like, okay. So for my 3 months of work, we'll say I'll add an extra month on there for me learning all of the funneling stuff and the Google ads and Facebook ads and stuff like that I learned. So 4 months of work, I generated $450,000 in 4 months. Okay, so if I had done that in school, I would have had to do another 4 years of study as a PhD, then got a job. So that's 4 years plus $450,000, that's say $50,000 a year. That's 9 years of my life that it would take to generate that same amount of money. So yes, building courses is a lot of upfront work. You have to sacrifice and you have to work hard to build those things. And no one pays you until you're done with it, right? Until they actually start having something to purchase, right? But the moral of the story is that if you build something that is worthwhile and then market appropriately, that's important, then you have something that will keep bringing you money over a long period of time, and a lot more money than any of the other things than staying in school for all these different times. School's great, right? I'm a teacher. School's great. I'm not knocking school, but there are benefits to doing these online courses and online funnels and learning how to drive these things. Whether you do it as a kind of a side hustle or you make it your main income, they really can just change your life. We paid off bills, we paid off credit cards, we took trips, we did all of these things. We paid for food. I have 2 children who have special diets, right? So our food's very expensive in our home. All of these things were made possible. The cell phone that I'm using to record this, right? All of these things made possible because of that course, right? Those things are just so important. Take that extra step, move forward. It's hard at first because it's new and it's different, but everything is new and different at some point. Keep working, keep fighting, and you can do this. That is how we little people, right? I'm just a one person in a room with one camera in the middle of Iowa teaching to the whole world, right? How do I compete with these gigantic multi-billion-dollar companies? This is how. And this is how we can do it. I am so excited with these things because it's literally changed my life. And I know it can change your life as well. And I want to help you guys do that. So if this was helpful for you guys, put a like down underneath. I'll appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys another day.